Ernie, looking at the Mid-America Business Conditions Index for January, did we improve?
Our survey of supply managers in 9 states that we for the month of January, the overall index, which is leading economic indicator for the 9 states stretching from North Dakota and Minnesota in the north to Oklahoma and Arkansas in the south, that number was up for the 3rd straight month into a reasonably healthy range. Now, we've had stronger numbers, but we've had weaker numbers. So this is pointing to an expanding economy for the 9-state region, expanding at a little bit of an improving rate for the next 3 to 6 months. But I have to say, the numbers that we're going to see from the U.S. are going to be stronger. In other words, the U.S. economy is probably going to outperform the Mid-America economy, but they're both going to be on a positive trajectory.
What's behind the increase? Are we looking at improved business services or durable goods?
Durable goods, particularly business services, growing as well. And you put on top of that exports for all sectors looking much better. So we're exporting more goods. New export orders were up fairly significantly for the month, showing the economy is showing some real life out there. We had job gains for the month. In fact, the job index is looking much better. Of course, along with that, we did have inflationary pressures up for the month. And of course, that's a real concern. We asked the supply managers about their company wage policies for 2014, and they're expecting wage gains of about 2.5%. Now, that doesn't sound like much for 2014, but the last time we asked that question, it was about around 2%. So that's looking better. Looking at price increases that they expect for the products they purchase and the services they purchase for 2014, that's about 3.5%. Now that's up from when we asked that question earlier, or last year. So we are seeing more inflationary pressures from our survey.
But that's not surprising, is it?
Not surprising, but our index is above 70 now. The numbers, all the indices range between 0 and 100, and 50 is growth neutral. So 70 is a bit stronger. Still not as much inflationary pressures that you would expect in this time of the recovery. In other words, this recovery has been going on since 2009, and it doesn't feel like that much of a recovery. And certainly looking at the inflation readings, not what you'd normally expect with this kind of stimulus from the Federal Reserve and this kind of economic expansion. Now, I have to say, if you look across all the states, the 9 states that we survey, the 2 states, that would be Arkansas and Missouri, are the only 2 states that have their labor force has declined compared to pre-recession levels. In other words, discouraged workers. So all the 7 other states, again, absent Arkansas and Missouri, have expanded their labor force. They've expanded employment. All 6 states, that would be absent Arkansas and Missouri and Kansas, have employment levels that are above the pre-recession levels. So that's good news on the employment front for all the states, even all 9 states where we're seeing improving employment picture.
What about confidence for the region? Is that up?
The confidence rating was up fairly significantly, and of course, I think that stems from what's going on now in Washington. In other words, we've had some agreement between the Democrats and Republicans, and certainly in terms of the budget, that's looking better. We've got a farm bill that is now advancing. That's, of course, good news for most of the states in the region, and that has boosted the economic outlook for businesses and supply managers within the 9-state region.
With the lack of a farm bill or the potential for a farm bill, what about imports and exports? What are we seeing? We're
seeing both of those up for the month. Imports are up, and of course that just means what we're seeing is businesses are purchasing more because they expect to be selling more. So that's good news. New export orders up, and of course that's good. Given what we're seeing in the global economy, is a lot of uncertainty out there, particularly when it comes to Turkey, particularly when it comes to other emerging economies such as Argentina, such as Venezuela, such as Chile. Those nations we're seeing some real turmoil in those countries. We hope it doesn't get telegraphed back to the U.S., and certainly we didn't see it in this month in our survey, but we could see that in the weeks and months ahead, some economic uncertainty from the global economy.
Overall, are you pleased with the results for January? Are they surprising at all?
The results were not surprising. They are looking better. I would have expected the downturn in agricultural commodity prices to have more of an impact, but it looks like though even there we're seeing at least some moderation in terms of the economy, looking moderately but slower growth. When you look at this time compared to this time last year, we're apt to see slower growth than what we saw for the same period last year. So it is good, but not quite as strong as what we saw this time last year. When the U.S. numbers come out, they're going to be stronger. And again, the gap, when we look at if we talk about the Mid-America economy and the U.S. economy, they're going to close the gap between the two. And that's not such a bad thing. Again, a lot of that we can trace back to lower commodity prices, agricultural commodity prices, that is.